Bombshells are exploding in the world of FC Barcelona. Al-Nassr is ready to throw down a jaw-dropping €85 million for one of Barca's top transfer targets, face screaming in fear. Diego Simeone has just broken his silence on the shocking Julian Álvarez to Barcelona rumors' eyes. Meanwhile, after locking in Joan García, Barcelona is set to raid Espanyol even further. The Catalan war is on. And just when you thought it couldn't get any spicier, Deco, Barca's sporting director, takes a ruthless shot at Xavi Hernández, calling his 2024 exit a mistake, flushed face. This is transfer drama, La Liga rivalry, and boardroom tension all rolled into one. Don't blink, because this episode is on fire. Barcelona want to sign a new left winger this summer, but the chances of landing their top target are very slim. And recent developments would suggest that a deal is now even more unlikely. It's no secret that Barcelona sporting director Deco wants to sign Luis Diaz. The Liverpool man is the player most desired by the man in charge of the Catalans' transfers, and in recent weeks, this interest has been acted on. A formal approach was made to Liverpool last week, but it was turned down. The Premier League champions do not wish to sell the Al-Nassr, planning to blow Barcelona away with Diaz's offer. This snub does not appear to have deterred Barcelona, but perhaps more significantly, this is also the case for Al-Nassr. Cristiano Ronaldo's former club are also very interested in signing Diaz this summer, and according to Ben Jacobs, they are prepared to test Liverpool's resolve with an offer worth €85 million. Barcelona would have no chance of matching this amount given their financial struggles, so it would appear that Al-Nassr have a free shot of signing Diaz if Liverpool become more open to negotiations. Understand Rafael Leão is a concrete target for Al-Nassr this summer. Milan could consider a sale for €80 million plus. Unclear if Leão open to Saudi, but he's on Al-Nassr's list alongside Luis Diaz. #LFC already told Barcelona they don't wish to sell, but Nassr prepared to offer €85 million plus. However, there could be some hope for Deco in Barcelona. Rafael Leão, who is well liked by Joan Laporta, is also attracting interest from Al-Nassr, and if they were to prioritize a move for the Portugal international, it would mean that competition for Diaz would be out of the way. It remains to be seen how the situation with Diaz plays out during the summer transfer window. Barcelona want him, but if Liverpool fail to relax their stance, the chances of him making the move to Catalonia would be very slim. And at this stage there are no signs of a deal being a realistic possibility. Diego Simeone responds to Julian Álvarez to Barcelona transfer talk. Atletico Madrid boss Diego Simeone has shared his thoughts on Julian Álvarez amid speculation he's a transfer target for Barcelona. It's been reported that Joan Laporta wants Alvarez to replace Robert Lewandowski when the striker hangs up his boots. Simeone isn't surprised to hear such talk and says Atletico will need to work hard to keep hold of the Argentina international. Everything is logical, I can't imagine any other scenario. Julian is 25 years old, he's an extraordinary player, with hunger, with enthusiasm, with humility, with work, with goals, with hierarchy. How could everyone not want him? And Barcelona, PSG, Arsenal, Liverpool, the best have to want him, he told La Nación. And for us, Atletico fans, it should be a source of pride that everyone wants him. What? Because he's ours. And since he's ours, we have to take care of him. We have to help him feel happy. How will he feel happy? By winning. And to get there, we all have to give 110%. And not just for him of course, but for everyone. Alvarez is seemingly locked down at Atletico with a €500 million release clause his contract, although his agent has hinted he could be tempted by a move to Barcelona. Barcelona to continue raid on Espanyol after Joan García signing. The brass at Barcelona are ready to deal their counterparts at Catalan rivals Espanyol a series of personnel blows over the months ahead. That's according to Diario Sport, who have confirmed that the Blaugrana shopping list at the RCD Stadium goes far beyond just the name of the incoming Joan García. In addition, Barca are all set to snap up a trio of highly regarded youth talents from their bitter rivals. The first will come in the form of Pol Mancino, a 16-year-old Spanish youth international, who generally operates in a center-forward role. And following Mancino in swapping Espanyol for Barcelona with a view to next season will be another pair of Periquito starlets. Mingguk and Daehan Lee, a pair of South Korean brothers who have long been in the sights of the Camp Nou brass, are also understood to be on the verge of penning terms with the Blaugrana. Mingguk is an explosive right-back, labeled as one of the great jewels of Espanyol's youth academy. And sibling Daehan is a winger, also capable of filling in at fullback when required. Barcelona have not been at their best in the transfer market over the last few days, and that trend continues in 2024 with Vitor Roque. The teenager arrived from Atletico Paranaense with lots of promise, but in the end he left just over 12 months after making the move from his home country. Loading ad. Roque struggled for prominence during the second half of the 2023-24 season, and he was then loaned out to Real Betis last summer before joining Palmeiras on a permanent deal in February 2025. Deco looks back on disastrous Vitor Roque episode. As per MD, Barcelona sporting director Deco has now opened up on the Roque situation, where he admitted that it was a mistake for the Brazil international to arrive 6 months ahead of schedule. He arrived in January. For me it was a mistake, but we didn't have many alternatives. Xavi wanted it that way. The idea was that it would come in the summer of 2024. I think that hurt him. And of course at Barcelona the demand is very high. If you worry too much about what the press is saying, you can get into trouble. His first 6 months were not good. I also think that there was a lack of attention to detail from the staff and the club to detect the problems he was having. Adaptation even on a mental level. We weren't able to help him as much as he needed. And Deco revealed that this decision was made by Xavi. Coaches are always listened to in signings. The decision to bring him in January was Xavi's. It was decided to advance his adaptation period by 6 months. In the end, football is like that. Going to Europe very soon is always complicated, and even more so if it's to a club like Barcelona or Real Madrid. Xavi confirmed it himself back in 2024 that Roque was not supposed to arrive during the winter, although he did not say whose decision it was. Deco has now made it clear that it was made by the then head coach, which is bound to further increase animosity between him and his former club. The Catalan giants are moving with intensity on and off the pitch, with Al-Nassr chasing Barca targets, Simeone pushing back on Alvarez talks, and Espanyol bracing for more losses after Joan García. But the biggest twist? Deco versus Xavi, the fallout from 2024 is far from over. Barcelona's summer is just heating up, and you need to be here for every transfer twist and behind-the-scenes bombshell. Smash that like button if you're loving the content, subscribe for non-stop Barca updates, and comment below, should Deco have called out Xavi? And who's the next star Barcelona should sign? Barcelona's sporting director Deco has finally broken his silence, and he's not holding back. From Xavi's controversial exit to Hansi Flick's new era brain, from Lamine Yamal's explosive rise to Vitor Roque's future Brazil, Deco covers it all. Plus, inside info on Rafinha, Gavi's recovery, and Barcelona's shaky financial situation. And yes, transfer plans are already in motion. Stick around, this is the full inside scoop every Barca fan needs. Barcelona's summer transfer window has not been nearly as active as some of the other clubs in Europe, possibly because of their exclusion from the FIFA Club World Cup. There is, however, a movement that cannot be overlooked in some serious positions of interest, including the goalkeeping and attacking departments. Joan García, for starters, is set to become the team's first new signing of the summer, while the club is also being linked with a plethora of wingers. The team behind all the developments, needless to say, is being spearheaded by Deco. Speaking to GE Globo in an extensive interview, Barcelona's sporting director Deco opened up on a number of transfer-related talks concerning the present, the past, and the future of the club. On Vitor Roque's failure. Of all the topics he addressed, the Vitor Roque context caught the attention of the media, for he opened up in honesty about the player's situation and how his arrival did not work out. For me, his arrival in January was a mistake, but we didn't have many options. Xavi wanted it. The original plan was for him to come in the summer of 2024, and I think he was harmed by his early arrival, and this is where Barcelona's demands come in, he began. If you're too preoccupied with what the press says, you can have problems. His first 6 months weren't good, and I also think there was a shortcoming on the part of the staff and the club in identifying the problems he was facing, he elaborated on the topic. We weren't able to help him in that regard, he concluded, admitting the club was also to blame for his failure. Elaborating on the role Xavi Hernández had in deciding the time of Roque's arrival, Deco said, "Coaches are always consulted on signings. The decision to bring him in January was made by Xavi, and the decision was to extend the adaptation process by 6 months. Ultimately, this is the nature of football. Going to Europe early is always difficult, especially if it's to Barcelona or Real Madrid," he added. On Xavi's sacking and Flick's appointment. The sporting director then went on to speak on Xavi Hernández's departure and how it ended up being the roller coaster of events that it eventually did. When Xavi announced his departure, he surprised everyone. He later changed his mind and decided to stay, and the club was hesitant about making the decision. he began. Changing a coach may seem simple to those outside the club, but it's always complicated, especially when the coach is a club legend. However, we felt the team needed a coach with different qualities, he added. Speaking on how Hansi Flick was seen as the ideal candidate by the board and the new coach's first season at the club, Deco expressed positivity and great excitement. Flick was the coach we wanted, a coach with great management skills. Things went well and we're very happy. The performance was as we expected. Last season we reached the Champions League quarterfinals and felt we could have gone further. In the league we were eliminated early, but this season the idea was to compete for every title until the end, and that's exactly what happened, he added. The interview then tilted towards Barcelona's transfer plans and the positions they currently saw to be in need of signings. We believe we have a good balance both in defense and in midfield. There are players who are still growing and developing, such as Xavi, who has returned from injury and will be much better next season after a good pre-season. We have Marc Bernal, who was injured at the beginning of the season, as well as Ronald Araujo and Dani Olmo, and we are working to ensure that they do not get injured again, he added. Speaking on the forward department, which is where the club are being extensively linked with wingers, Deco added, "As for the attack, it will depend on what we can do in the market, but it may be the only line that we see as needing one or two players." On Barcelona's finances. The director then spoke on the club's economic situation and how the club have been bold and calculated with all their moves. Barcelona was going through a major financial crisis at the beginning of Laporta's tenure. The club was spending more than it earned, and this must be eliminated over time. Amidst this situation, the president made the bold decision to completely renovate the Camp Nou stadium. We went from a stadium with a capacity of 90,000 spectators to one with only 50,000, which meant a significant drop in revenue. He then provided a positive update on how they have managed to negate most of the losses and fix the club's finances. But today the club has signed one of its biggest contracts with Nike, and we will return to playing at Camp Nou with a capacity of 65,000 spectators, and then approximately a year later at full capacity. The rebuilding process is ongoing, and today there is no longer a financial problem. We only have a problem with the financial fair play rules due to the strict restrictions imposed on us, he added. Lamine Yamal's renewal. Towards the end of his interview, Deco spoke on Lamine Yamal and the impact the youngster has had on the sport worldwide. Lamine is the kind of player who appears once every few years and captivates everyone. He not only possesses skill but also great maturity for his age. He also possesses this charm, not only through his performance on the pitch but also because, perhaps because of his age, he resonates so well with young fans. This makes him a player who not only impresses those who watch him play, but who also creates a story of his own, he added. Speaking on how it was dealing with the renewals of such young stars who played out of their skin, the sporting director said, "It doesn't matter if he's 17, 27, or 30. We must show the same respect to everyone. A player renews his contract and is valued based on what he offers the club. It doesn't matter if he's 17 or 18. What matters is his performance. After that, it's only natural that we monitor how he handles all of this. I think his management of the situation is excellent, and he has shown that he has the mental capacity to deal with this stage. I hope and believe that he is ready for this challenge," he concluded. On Rafinha's growth. Finally, he gave his 2 cents on Rafinha's stellar season and how his transfer paid off with great dividends. Rafinha had an excellent season in England and there were many clubs interested in signing him, such as Arsenal and Chelsea. At the time, Barcelona was experiencing financial difficulties, but I knew that Rafinha's dream was to play for Barcelona. Coach Xavi wanted him and so did the president, he added. Elaborating on the story of his transfer, he said, "Deco just gave us a roadmap to Barcelona's future, and it's filled with promise, pressure and plenty of plot twists. Flick's project is coming, Yamal and Xavi are key, and big moves are on the horizon. What's your take on Deco's vision? Is Barca heading in the right direction under Flick? Drop your hottest take in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe and turn on that bell. The rebuild is on and we're covering every twist and turn.